Hi there, this is Florence Gaia, speaking to you from beautiful southwest Colorado, land of the Ute Native people. I've been a hospital psychiatric nurse for 17 years and a transformational facilitator for over 26 years, and I'm relaunching my holistic healing practice, specializing in transformational breath and shamanic healing journeys, especially for women entering menopause, so they can wake up to an expanded, empowered sense of self. I have a Facebook group called Rewilding Your Spirit, and I ask new members, what do you yearn for? The number one thing that they're yearning for is peace of mind, inner strength and guidance. And coming in a close second is gentle self-acceptance. So today I would like to talk to you about a very common problem that drains our life energy and sabotages the very thing that we're seeking, that we're yearning for, inner peace, self-acceptance. It will take some close monitoring and some detective work to catch the offender, but it can be corrected. Think about how you talk to yourself. Is it undermining or uplifting you? Enter the inner critic. So have you heard that term? And what is the inner critic? It's negative self-talk. It's the way you compare yourself, the way that inner voice criticizes you, even condemns you, and stops you from doing new things. It undermines your self-confidence, that you're not good enough, not smart enough, something that you're just not enough. Or the opposite, it keeps pushing you to do more, insisting on perfection. The predominant emotion that you're feeling is fear, guilt, or shame. The inner critic is not your conscience. It's not a trustworthy moral guide because it diminishes you. It seeks to punish you and increases feelings of self-hate. Your conscience tells you right from wrong, and it helps you to reflect on your behavior, but with no shame. It's, I made a mistake, but I'm okay. So where did this inner critic come from? Childhood. Our parents, our school, church, painful early life experiences where harsh critical remarks were directed at us. That you were stupid, that you can't sing, you can't write, you can't paint, something you can't do. Perhaps being taunted in school with names. So to stay out of trouble, we avoid anything that will bring on this criticism. That inner voice gets internalized. And it keeps us in a very prescribed box. It lives within us and creates a lot of self-doubt. We come to believe what it's saying is true, and in that way, it cuts us off from true soul consciousness. I was raised with very strict religious belief against divorce. I was married 15 years, 2 kids, and he was a good provider. I was a good wife and mother, but I became exhausted trying to make this relationship something it could never be, something with a deep emotional, spiritual connection, with us both growing together. When I started to feel like this relationship was dead, and my life energy was shriveling, I started to consider divorce. And that created an intense inner conflict within myself. It was the one time in my life where I felt suicidal. So this became a journey of reconnecting with my own soul, with my inner truth, and with my inner authority. So how do we transform this inner critic? And notice I'm using the word transform. If you Google how to deal with it, you'll find lots of good tips about managing it, silencing it, conquering it, standing up to it. But I don't see the word transform. The book I recommend if you're looking to read something really good is this Soul Without Shame by Byron Brown. It's an excellent book if you're looking for some good reading material. I was trained as a Gestalt therapist, so I knew this inner critic was my own thinking, my own energy that I had internalized, but it had turned against me. So I started to think, can I turn this energy around so it works for me? And I came up with three steps that are basically three. I call them the three I's: identify, interrupt, intervene. Let's take them one at a time. The first step is to identify the inner critic voice in your own head. Take a step back, eavesdrop, and listen to the way you talk to yourself, the thoughts that are running through your head. Again, are they uplifting or are they putting you down in some way? And see when it shows up. What's going on in your life that's triggering that voice? My inner critic, when I was going through that inner conflict around divorce, my inner critic showed up in some interesting ways. One time I was taking a walk in the woods, and I came to the edge of the woods where there was a cemetery. And I started walking down the aisles, and I came upon a headstone for a married couple that said, "Until death do us part." So I had to grapple with that dictum, okay? And then after my divorce, there was a time when I had an image in my head that appeared of a judge sitting at a bench with his gavel, and I'm standing before the judge, and he was condemning me, banging that gavel. So that's how it has showed up in my life. Now the second step is interrupt. You have to interrupt that process of that criticism that's coming at you, the scolding, the finding the fault, with one powerful word. Yes, the word is stop. And I continued to use that word and said, this is not helpful. This is abusive. So I started to take back control over my own thoughts and how they affected my self-worth in my life. The third step, and this is critically important, is intervene. Knowing that this is my energy and I can't just fire it, I can't sit on it, I can't kill it, but I can transform it, and I gave the inner critic a new job. And this is what I said to my inner critic, as if I were facing it. I said, you have an amazing critiquing skills. Come stand beside me. Instead of facing me as a prosecutor finding fault, you can be my defense attorney. Help me look at the world to discern what's going on. Defend me. Use your energy for me. And since that time of that confrontation with my own inner critic and giving it a new job, it's doing a really good job of that, of helping me discern as I look out into the world, as I look at difficulties in relationships, whatever's going on in my life, and it's helping me it's increased my discerning powers. But it can still creep back in little ways. A couple of months ago, I was watching TV on Nova, and it was about a woman archaeologist that was unraveling the mystery of the Maya temples, the abandoning of those temples and cities. And that little voice kind of crept in to hint that maybe her work was more important than mine. The very next day, I was listening to a webinar for transformational leaders, and it impressed on me, and it helped me switch that voice to say, my work is a sacred responsibility. It's part of my spiritual path to elevate not just myself, but to elevate others from unnecessary suffering. So the recovery can be quite quick. The result of this work is that the inner critic now becomes your defender. I can catch it quickly and turn it around so that I have peace of mind and heart. I can gently accept my strengths and my insecurities and my fears rather than feeling critical about myself. I embrace them in a loving way. My thoughts and my life energy are used to encourage and support me, especially when I'm going through difficult times, troubled times, whether it's in relationships or whatever is going on in my life. I'm able to stand up for myself and set strong boundaries, not allow disrespect or mistreatment, and catch it, and that inner critic helps me to catch it. So I have a deeper connection to my inner guidance, my purpose to move forward in life. So I encourage you to think about this your own inner roadblocks to your own happiness and your own satisfaction with yourself. If you're interested in this process, I'm doing free 20-minute consult calls to see if you can help. I'll include their phone number in the email that this is going to be included in. And we can schedule a free 20-minute consult to see if this is something that I can help you with. And then we can always schedule a 3-second package. It's usually $294, but for a limited time, I'm going to offer a 20% discount. So my closing things before I start drumming and doing a little meditation is, you do not have to live with the energy drain of the inner critic. You can learn how to transform this energy so that it works for you. So I'm going to drum for a few minutes, and I'd like you to just relax and let this sound wash over you. And so I hope you have found this little video valuable. If you're interested in discussing this further, I'd be so happy to talk with you and see if helping you through this process would be helpful for you. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.